Does anyone in this room believe that they can actually bunt today's Major League fastball? Because none of us can. None of us can.
I could easily get a sacrifice bunt
Okay.
on. Billy Bunt, Danny. Are you forgetting my history with bunting?
You know what we need to do?
You know what bunting is, right? You hold out the bat and you just, you don't. Here's the thing about amateur bunters.
Oh,
they
God.
go towards it, not what you do with bunting.
Try to catch it.
You
go
exactly.
back. Yes,
catch it.
back. Yeah.
I don't believe that you could get down a successful bunt.
I can totally do it. Yes, I can. I absolutely can.
Roy hit a home run out of a major league park.
He did.
I mean,
I think we all know who has the best chance of doing that.
Well, then
I
you
don't need
guys
say
got to
it.
do it, and then we'll get. And what did they call? They called Mike Ryan in Little League. They called him GOAT, not because he was the best, but because he was always playing and eating the grass.
Live from ESPN Studios in South Beach. It's the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
about this.
Well, Billy's nervous about this one, and I'm
nervous,
actually
just okay. Sorry. Thank you for your time. Hopefully the next one gets cleared.
No. This was said to a PR firm. You do not allow PR firms to make decisions.
Oh, God, no.
No.
No, you do not. Don't ever let PR run your place, man. No,
But you said we can hurt this restaurant. They had like 130 people on their wait list. I feel like they're doing all right.
I know, but I feel like we could
do not
organize.
threaten the
I
restaurant.
feel like we can organize a boycott.
No. Just apply, just, hey, we really would appreciate it. I mean, we haven't said your restaurant's name yet, right?
Did you?
No, we
Did
haven't.
you try pretty, please?
Well, should we? Should we say the restaurant's name and then tell?
No, because look at all the promotion they could get.
Okay.
Right.
Exactly.
All right. Well, help me apply the pressure then in order to get. We have 2 calls that these guys really like, and we right now can't air either of them. But I can't.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance, making it easy to bundle your home and car insurance. Here's your SportsCenter update. During an Outside the Lines interview with Mina Kimes, Myles Garrett has once again alleged that Mason Rudolph called him the N-word. Tokyo Olympic organizers and the International Olympic Committee said There is no plan B for the 2020 games, which opened in just over 5 months and have been jolted by the outbreak of a virus in neighboring China. Right now at Wendy's, pick 2 faves, pay $5, choose from 10-piece spicy or crispy nugs, a Dave's single or a spicy chicken sandwich. Wendy's 2 for $5. That's a win-win. We got you. Price and participation may vary at U.S. Wendy's. Spicy nuggets available for a limited time only. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in to Sports Center on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
More than Stu from the Clevelander on ESPN Radio.
It's amazing.
I have an idea, guys.
We miss
what
you,
if
Dan, though.
every single week was Radio Row, just in another city, just covering one event?
That'd be so
That'd be
nice.
so amazing.
I know, I'd be there. Maybe like the NBA All-Star game.
Look how happy Stugotz is, Mike. Look at him. He's got his hands behind his head.
great.
He is radiant. He is post-coital.
Continues with All-Star Saturday night, presented by Bolt 24. Coverage begins tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern on most ESPN radio stations.
We've got a couple of funny sports conversations happening here with the shipping container. One is Billy's wondering out loud in a way that's funny. Do you think the Astros think they killed it yesterday? Do you think that the Astros were finished with all the work that they did and were like, good job, we got through it, we'll just be able to keep it moving? And when no one viewed anything that was happening with the Astros yesterday other than public relations, hiding in the shrubs, sending a couple of guys out to apologize half-heartedly, and they're not apologizing for what they did. They'd still be doing it if they hadn't been caught. They're apologizing for getting caught.
Spoiler alert. I think they think that they did a good job yesterday. I think they think, you know what? Behind us. All is forgiven now. We said sorry, right?
Ron Darling.
You think that the owner of the Houston Astros finished up what he was doing yesterday after just being Stugotz, where sentences earlier he said he didn't think that it gave them an advantage that affected outcomes. And then when they asked him why he said that, he said, I didn't say that.
Do they strike you as a particularly self-aware bunch, the Astros? Because it seems like they don't really get what's going on here.
Eric Flowers.
What do you make of them having a month to do that and coming out with just that, which is, that was received well by no one. There's no one who watched what was happening yesterday and said, yep, that was the right way to go with all of that.
But what could they have said that would have made us feel better?
Genuine remorse.
I mean, I think you saw it a lot of them. Carlos Correa was pretty remorseful.
No, but the 4 guys who were on the stand, Dusty Baker and the owner and Altuve and Bregman, like, yes, Correa did it. That's what Correa was doing in the locker room is what they should have been doing at the podium.
But like a month ago, they also waited too long. Like if you would have gotten out ahead of this and said some of this stuff, I do think it would have blown over by now. Like it would have gone away and spring training arrives and you're like, you know what? That was shady, but whatever. And then you keep moving. But it's almost like ballsy, for lack of a better term, the way that they're not really apologizing or really taking accountability publicly for this. Some of the players have, and it's actually been more from players who aren't on the team anymore, from the ones that are. But, like, you guys got away with it. I'm sorry. You were immune. You didn't get any punishment. If you just kind of own up to it and like, you know what? We did this. It was wrong. I feel like a lot of people are like, all right, fine. Like, there'll still be people that are upset, but not like this, where they're still kind of talking around it. And baseball's so weird because you have other teams who are going after the actions, and then they ask them about, like, particular players, and like, oh, you know, that's a good guy, whatever. And it's like, wait a minute. You're upset at what happened, but you can't go after the person that did it? Like, how does that make any sense?
Freddie Couples.
Here's why they're not really sorry, Billy. Think about this for a second. Here's why they're not really sorry. If they hadn't been caught, if they hadn't been threatened, if it hadn't been an open secret in league circles, do you think that they would have stopped? Do you believe they would have stopped doing it because they're not remorseful about the action? They're remorseful about the reaction that it caused. They'd still be doing all that stuff. No, hell, everybody in that sport, all of them would be bodybuilders. They'd still be using steroids if they hadn't been caught. They're not sorry for anything.
Dan, they were brazen. They knew what they were doing was wrong. Their manager destroyed the setup more than once, and they proceeded to do it.
Royals pitcher Richard Lovelady.
Mike Ryan had another conversation, though, that he thinks, because Billy was complaining recently that all the dunks have been done, he thinks that the dunk contest might have. Are you claiming that you think that because it's in Chicago, Mike, that Zach LaVine, participant in the last great dunk competition we saw, might make an appearance for the Bulls, like a surprise appearance?
So there was talk that Zach LaVine might be in the slam dunk contest, but his agent came out and said he'll be in the slam dunk contest if he's an all-star, to try to, pump up his vote total. It didn't end up working, and Zach LaVine is participating in Skills Weekend, but it's a three-point contest. However, there is a certain movement on Twitter that is suggesting perhaps Zach LaVine makes a surprise appearance in the slam dunk contest because it's in his home city of Chicago. He plays for the Bulls. There is video of Zach LaVine in the gym, just messing around, doing a slam dunk from the free throw line. We've seen that before. Fine. He does a 360 dunk from the free throw line. Keep in mind, Zach LaVine has torn an ACL before. This is an incredible athletic display. And if he makes it in a slam dunk competition that he's not even announced for, it would be the single greatest dunk of all time.
Daryl Strawberry.
What do you mean he did a 360 from the free throw line?
It
What the
almost
hell?
looks doctored.
That's not human beings can't do a 360 from the free throw line. That
He is
can't
not
be right.
human, Dan.
That can't
He's
be
Zach
right.
LaVine.
What you're saying has to be a lie, has to be counterfeit.
Bob Huggins.
Hops.
Well, he missed it.
Hops. Bounce.
You're saying we might see the greatest dunk anyone's ever seen as a surprise. How do you get in as a surprise into the dunk competition?
Here's what
There's
I'm-
betting on this stuff?
Yeah.
You can't be a surprise.
Yeah, and I hope if there's a surprise entrant, then all betting is suspended. But can't really get upset if you're betting on the slam dunk contest. You sort of know what you signed up for.
Diamond Stone.
Yeah, but if Zach LaVine doesn't do this, now this is out there, and I desperately want to see someone actually make this. And I think every single one of the competitors, except for Connoting, can do this dunk.
We've arrived at that place in basketball evolution where Billy is sitting here saying all the dunks have been done. Mike is sitting here saying we're about to see one we've never seen before. Billy, you can't deny that you haven't seen 360 from the free throw line. That's not something you've seen.
It's not the free throw line. He's well in front of the free throw line, and he missed the dunk. He's ahead of it.
His heel is on the line.
No.
His heel is on the line.
That's in front of the line.
Well, Brent Berry won one by, not exactly being behind the line.
Yeah.
Venus Williams.
Chris, you're with him?
No, I'm. It's impressive.
What just happened there? What is Venus Williams? Why did you ruin it?
What do you mean?
Venus.
Isn't Venus,
Venus
is Venus
is-
a god of love?
Yes, of course. Duh.
Did you just learn that, Stugotz?
Yes, I did.
Look, I don't dance now. I make money moves.
Race car driver. Whoa.
Oh, my God.
What happened?
God.
I powered through it.
Oh.
I'm okay, though.
Oh.
But race car driver Chocolate Myers.
Oh.
I got through it. It's Super Bowl week. Mark Henry. Sexual chocolate. Davis Love. I. What happened? Jewel.
That is how you celebrate Valentine's Day. I. Just wandering around. I. Advance Auto Parts.
Tom Candiotti.
Can you please do something about the amount of phlegm in your throat?
Nope.
It's revolting.
Sorry.
Advance Auto Parts. We've been telling you that if you've got any issues with your car, they make it very easy to support the sponsors who support us. Tell them, Stugotz.
The football season is over. Sad. Now your Thursdays, Sundays, Mondays are dreadfully open until August.
No. There's the XFL.
Well, there's also Advanced Auto Parts.
What?
Luckily,
There's both of those things?
both those things to get you through until the next NFL season. How about that? Luckily, Advanced Auto Parts has something productive you can do to fill the time, getting your vehicle's battery tested. It's free, and if your battery is low, they'll install your new one for you with purchase. Plus, enter the code DAN20 when you buy online to save 20%. The only shame is how fast you'll get in, get out, and back to twiddling your thumbs until football starts up again. Think ahead. Think advance. Only at Advanced Auto Parts.
Oye, this is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
And finally, Hugh Grant says Paddington 2 is his best movie.
Love Actually. It's a great holiday film. What? Love Actually. No, it's not called Love. The movie's called Love Actually, Chris. It's a great holiday film. Am I the only person here that's seen Love Actually? I mean, his romantic story arc is at the center point of the movie.
I've seen Love.
Yeah. No.
All right, both of you go sit outside.
Whoa!
You don't pay any attention to each other. You talk over each other. You're sitting right.
I mean, the
next to
man's
each other.
behind me.
Billy.
He doesn't have eyes in the back of his head in Roy's defense.
Billy, go sit on each other's laps in the penalty box. And
Me?
no, Billy, you're okay.
I get to stay?
You get to stay.
We'll see for how long.
Valentine's Day. Bobby Valentine going to join us at 11 o'clock Eastern. As far as I can tell, the reason that we're having him on is because it is Valentine's Day, and his name is Bobby Valentine. A tweeter writes in, it's Davis Love the Third. Come on, Stu.
You don't get the show.
So I wanted to talk to you guys about what happened last night with you guys at the Panthers game.
Rex Grossman.
You guys did a number of different things.
Sexy Rexy.
You guys did a number of different things.
Except will the Florida Panthers to victory, Dan.
Yeah, we tried, though.
Tried our best, but
Yeah.
you're not going to believe this. The Florida Panthers now find themselves 5 points out of the final wild card slot.
2 points out of the third place in the division.
Yeah, but hey, we have a game in hand.
Guy LaFleur.
This is where they've been forever, and you guys go out there last night, and you are part of the festivities. You guys were in sumo suits, running around on the ice. You were playing against each other. Chris Cody dominated that. Chris Cody was a bad teammate. Chris Cody did not give Billy high fives because he was busy celebrating his goal by sensually and sexually thrusting his sumo hips on the ice.
Sips.
And he found himself, again, as the best athlete on the show, scoring goals, winning the game. Roy looked happy while you guys opened the Cat's Den. What was that experience like? I really did think that we were going to have to bring out defibrillators for Chris Cody, given how red his face got.
Josh Booty.
My face was really red. It was really hot in these things. And like I have a big head, and these hats they put on us, it was very sweaty. And Stanley C. Panther, I would have had 4 goals if not for Stanley C. Panther.
Yeah, that fat suit was very restricting. I couldn't move my shoulders, and it was once I fell, it was good padding. I didn't hurt myself, but it is what it is.
Yeah, but specifically the
What
door.
It is what it is. What do you? What is that?
is.
It's useless.
Opening up the cat's den is a time-honored tradition that harkens way back to 2019, correct? And the likes of which, I mean, they get huge celebrities out there. Shannon the Cannon Briggs and the Dolphins' offensive line, among the many luminaries
Let's
that
go,
have
champ.
opened up the cat's den. Now, Chris Cody was all in on this. He called it yesterday the biggest night of his life.
It was. Yeah, it was.
And we agreed that Roy, because of his passion for the sport, and Chris Cody, because his passion to be, look at me, should be the people that open the doors.
Walter Payton, sweetness.
So we had Chris in position to actually pry open the handle.
And I had called right door.
Yeah.
This is a big contention around here. On the show yesterday, I was like, I want the right door.
Well, but tell the people where you were, okay? Because this was actually a cool moment. I was both laughing and happy because it looked big. Here, the Flyers are playing the Panthers, and you guys are on the scoreboard.
Crocodile tears.
And you are finding this place where you are yelling and exhorting as part of this flimsy Florida Panthers tradition, as there are 10,000 people there, and you are going to open the locker room doors, but it felt like they left you out there too long. And so you're on the Jumbotron, you're on everyone, you are trying to get the crowd started.
That's a bad teammate situation by Roy. Not to call anyone out, but Roy had the handle. Roy could have ended that at any point by simply opening the door.
Roy had the handle because at the last second, without reason, we haven't been given an explanation for this. The stage director is like, switch up.
Yeah, no.
He wanted Chris away from the handle.
They rehearsed it the other way.
Yeah, that was not something that they prepared for, but Roy was there on the handle side.
The way they told us was, this is either going to be 10 seconds or 30. It's all just based off when the guys get to the door. So we got a guy behind the camera who's giving us this finger of just keep going. So I was going, and about 15 seconds in, I'm like, I'm tapped. But he was still giving me the keep going sign. So that's when I pulled out the Michael Jackson moves, and then Roy and I chest bumped. So I was getting desperate at the end, and then I just started screaming.
Lewis Lips.
You looked, when you were done with that, 3 years older than when you walked into the arena because you were so breathless and red, and you really brought great enthusiasm. I feel like your joy really engulfed Roy. He got swept up in it. That's as passionate as I've ever seen him about anything other than an open bar.
Jason Williams.
Yeah, I mean, that's me every show when the show starts. That's basically how I am. So this is just me all the time.
White chocolate.
What were the highlights for you, Mike?
Well, I mean, you would think that the energy would really inspire the Panthers, but I think the real problem here is the doors are closed. So if the Panthers saw that display, maybe it would have turned out different. The first player that gave Chris Cody some love out of the locker room was Sergei Bobrovsky, and he gave up 3 goals in 4 seconds.
I'm pretty sure that the Panthers were on the other side of the door, extremely fired up for this game, and then the doors opened, and they saw Roy and I, and we're just like, meh, I'm a little less fired up now.
Daryl Dawkins.
They pulled the goalie, right? The Philadelphia
Bobrovsky.
76ers.
Chocolate Thunder.
Flyers.
The Philadelphia Flyers, excuse
Huge
me.
fun.
The Philadelphia Flyers
Fine. I know.
scored a goal inside of 2 minutes. You guys opened the door, and the Flyers scored.
Yeah, we were able somehow, against all odds, we actually got to our seats before the first goal was conceded, but it was like as we sat down.
Ronnie Arrow.
Billy, what were the highlights for you?
I didn't get hurt playing in the sumo game, which was really my only goal, was not get hurt.
Yeah, even though we did sign a waiver.
I mean, that's a whole
that
nother
was
thing.
that was.
Well,
just wrote an extra
hold on a
waiver
second.
it.
Hold on a second. I want to talk about this for a second because the Panthers pulled a real bait and switch, all right? Because this is exactly how it happened, and I watched it happen. You guys, the 4 of you,
Rick Honeycutt.
are
First of all, thank you, Panthers, for having us. Now,
before
to get ripped by Dan.
before the thank yous. Hold on a second before the thank yous, because I saw this happen and it felt all manner of wrong. You guys, the 4 of you, were on your stomachs because you couldn't get out of these sumo costumes, and you had to get in them in a really weird way. Like you had to slide in with your feet and no shoes, and you looked vulnerable and helpless. Okay?
It's like the opposite of being born. That's how you get into the sumo costume.
Bartolo Colon.
And in that moment that you guys were on your stomachs,
Big Sexy.
the moment that they were getting ready for, somebody came in and said, you guys got 1 minute. 1 minute. You have 1 minute. So my guys are all on their stomachs. They're in these sumo suits. They are totally vulnerable. And then out of nowhere, as they are like shuffling awkwardly and fatly toward the ice that's about to be slippery, someone emerges, and lawyers ruin everything, man. Hey, you guys got to sign all of these waivers in the event that you get hurt. And so Chris Cody is sitting there with his left hand, and he can't even hold anything because he's got a sumo suit on. He is signing. Like, I'd love that to go to court. I wish you had broken your leg, and I'd be like, that's not his signature.
We filmed at Panthers. That was certainly not enough time to review this legal document.
I just wrote my name the regular way. I didn't even sign it. And then they're like, we'll do the rest. We're good. I'm like, what?
I just put an X there.
Sex Ryan.
The Panthers.
Wow.
That one feels flimsy.
Look, I don't dance now. I make money moves.
What happened?
You made Billy wince like 3 times. Some of them were such bad judgment choices by you.
But thank you, Panthers.
Oh, Panthers.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Look, we will
Thanks,
gladly
Panthers.
do that
Great
again.
night.
Yes, let's do it
Yeah.
again. Yeah,
No
yeah,
food,
yeah.
no drink.
Granger, facility managers do not want to go into the weekend with a mess on their hands. That's why they rely on Granger to make sure the messes don't happen in the first place. What are you guys laughing about? What happened?
Passive aggressively, Chris Cody mentioned no food, no drinks.
Yeah.
There were no food, no drinks.
Say that on
I
air.
noticed that. What happened to open bar and all the chicken tenders you can eat? Instead, we get a liability form. I'm surprised we didn't open one of those buffet tins and find a bunch of liability forms
My
in there.
kid was hiding in that thing.
I had stir fry. Running your business is a 24/7, 365-day-a-year job. Every problem, every solution is up to you.
Proud of you for fighting through.
When a problem arises, you need a solution. Granger's got your back. They've always got your back. They do. Whether you need critical items fast, something isn't working like it should, or you just can't find exactly what you're looking for, Granger is ready to help. Allergy season, man, I'm telling you. Because you don't stop, neither do they. Granger has 24/7 customer support, sourcing specialists, and same-day pickup and delivery options. Don't forget about their on-demand products and technical expertise. I'm sorry about that. Whatever you need, whenever you need it, Granger's got your back. They're always there for you. Call, click Granger.com, stop by a branch. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz from South Beach on ESPN Radio.
Look wrong with your credit card, sends an alert to your phone and helps you fix them. Capital One, what's in your wallet? See CapitalOne.com for details. All guests on the Dan Le Batard Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line.
We transition seamlessly from sumo hockey
Saki.
to this tweet at Le Batard Show. This is how you can reach us at Le Batard Show on Twitter. Regarding the Zaya Wade conversation about Dwayne Wade's daughter, the kid is 12, and we're talking about this on a national show. Give the kid some privacy. Be better, Dan. ESPN Radio is for sports, not your takes on this matter.
You don't get the show.
So, moving on to other subjects. What happened, Mike?
Give the kid privacy. They came out publicly.
Well, I
His
thought
father's Dwayne Wade.
I thought that could have been left unstated.
But this is troubling that this person would be so off base.
Is it? It's pretty much the norm, isn't it? If you open yourself
Advocate
up to the internet,
silently, though. How do you raise awareness by not raising awareness?
that is correct. That was why.
Am I not getting the show now?
That's why he didn't get the show.
You
Right.
want to send me to the sin bin?
No, that's okay.
No, stay here. Stay here, man. You don't have to.
Just stay here for a little while. We're all a little bit hungover because of the sumo wrestling thing, and everybody here is having a little trouble speaking. And Stugotz was wandering around the premises yesterday because everybody was stunned. He has lowered the bar so low on this stuff that when he shows up to anything,
Yeah.
Hungover. I had 2 beers and I had to walk a mile to get them.
I was there first. I mean, first one there last night. First in attendance. I saw everything.
but
Yeah, with a
Stugotz was
G&T in
muttering
hand.
under his
Yeah.
breath all night. I killed 5 birds with 1 stone. I
I
met
did,
all
yeah.
the kids.
Yep.
I met everybody's wife. I made an appearance. 5 birds. He kept Billy. How much were you laughing hearing him mutter under his breath? I killed 5 birds with 1
The
stone.
thing that's weird about it is that I think he was going up to everybody and having the same private conversation because he came up to me, he's like, 5 birds, 1 stone. And I turn around like, oh, hey, what? And he's like, oh, I met all the kids. I met all the wives. I don't have to do anything for a while.
The
5 birds,
kids.
1 stone.
The kids are great. I mean, I met Gregland. I met Princess Blair.
Oh,
I
for
mean, it
crying
was
out
so
loud.
much fun. I had a
Oh.
blast. I really did. And Dan gets there and he says, this is the end of the earth. And I said, no, it's not. It's 25 minutes more north. That's the end of the earth.
It is a long drive, man. It is deep in the Everglades. That hockey team is hidden deep in the Everglades.
You met Anthony's lovely wife. They were recently married. You remember her name?
Yeah, Tina. She was fantastic. And I told her, I said, listen, Anthony was an angel at the bachelor party. I was there. I attended the weekend, and I told Tina nothing to worry about.
Anthony, what is your wife's name, please? Because
Her name is Jennifer.
Oh, man. It's unfortunate. Yeah, but I heard her friends call her Tina, right?
5 birds with 1 stone.
Her grandma's name's actually Tina. So,
Oh, hey,
yeah,
how about
yeah.
that? Okay, she must have mentioned that. I mean, yeah, family name. I mean, we talked about it. Yeah.
Princess Blair.
Oh, she was great. She is adorable,
She
that
is
Blair.
adorable. That
I
is
mean,
true.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened.
Bobby Valentine is going to join us here in 10 minutes in the incredibly hacky, cheesy way that we celebrate Valentine's Day around here.
Bobby V.
And so he will be here 10 minutes from
When
now.
is this guy going to get old?
And
Never.
He's going to keep hitting. I think you should start adding to that. I think every time he does it, just a lazy cash register sound. Just that he is so lazily hitting the same notes he's been hitting for 15 years that I think we should point out even more overtly the laziness that it's soaked in. Bobby V. Like, there's no sincerity in your voice, nothing. You're just,
Bake McBride.
you think of baking with, or is it the bride? You don't know. Baking and a McBride.
Kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
Bobby Valentine going to join us here in
Bobby V.
It is unbelievable. Like, they need to stop paying you for this. They really do. You do it as if they pay you per nickname. So Bobby Valentine is going to join us here very shortly, and we're going to talk to him, I assume.
Bobby V.
So Bobby Valentine's going to join us here shortly.
Bobby V.
So Bobby Valentine's going to join us here
V.
shortly. So Bobby Valentine's
Bobby
going
V.
to Bobby Valentine's going to join.
Bobby V.
Bobby
Bobby V.
Valentine's
Bobby
going to join.
V.
Bobby
Bobby V.
Valentine 12
Bobby
seconds. Bobby Valentine in 10
Bobby
seconds.
V.
Bobby
Bobby V.
Valentine in 8
Bobby V.
seconds. Bobby
Bobby V.
Valentine in
Bobby
6
V.
seconds.
Bobby
Bobby
V.
Valentine in 6
Bobby
seconds.
V.
Bobby
Bobby V.
Valentine in 4
Bobby V.
seconds.
Bobby
Bobby
V.
Valentine in
Bobby
3
V.
seconds.
Voy a reír, voy a bailar on the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
Valentine invented the wrap, the delicious wrap, the ingenious wrap. He was also a manager, a colorful manager, and we are always happy to have him on the show. I'm actually curious, Bobby Valentine with us, and thank you, as always, Bobby, for joining us.
Bobby V.
I was curious how you received all this stuff with the Astros. I want to get into the PR of it with you and how they handled yesterday, but I'd like to go back first to sort of how you received the information of this widespread cheating.
Wow, how I received it, I have no idea, like everyone else did. And, I look at it and say, come on now. What's the real story? And I think everyone's in a really tough situation right now, and I guess it will pass, but it's going to take a while for it all to pass.
How brazen do you think it is, though? Like, how from your experiences in baseball, how crazy a story is it, or is it overblown?
Well, my father-in-law is Ralph Branca. The telescope that stole the signs in 1951 is legendary, and they, relayed the signs of the catcher to the dugout, and the hitters got the signs back then. This is 2020, so I doubt that it was the first time since 1951 that this happened. I also really doubt, that there were catchers around the league and umpires around the leagues that didn't hear some stupid trash can banging. I mean, I'm just not going for that, only because I was in a dugout for about 40 years, and if guys sneezed in the other dugout, I would hear it, and if they sneezed twice, I would think it was suspicious. So, whatever the real story is, it's the real story, and if it's going to stop, the only way to stop it is to let everyone know that there's some IT out there that is going to prevent IT from stealing signs, because it's a new era we're in.
Bobby, knowing what's coming, how much of an advantage is that for hitters?
Well, the first thing that all humanoids do when they stand at the plate is they see that bad guy propelling the ball in their direction, and they have to decide if they're going to duck or if they can swing. Well, if they know that the ball for sure is not a fastball and it's not a life or death situation, then the discerning is a lot easier to recognize what pitch it is. So I think there's a great deal of advantage when you know what's coming.
We have a lot of arguments around here about a lot of different things. Where is Bobby Valentine standing, or in this case, I guess, sitting, on the issue of reclining seats in airplane coach? Where is it that you would side? Because a lot of people, there are two types of people in the world: people who do this and don't mind doing it, and people who complain about this and get very angry about it. Where does Bobby Valentine side?
I'm lucky enough at my old age that I have really rich friends, and I'm ready to get on a private plane right now, go down and watch a college baseball game in Florida. So I don't really get into that conversation.
Okay, so you don't have to worry about it. So you don't have an opinion of any sort, because you're not even first class. You're saying I fly private. Get out of here. I don't have any issues with reclining seats anywhere.
And I don't even have issues with my buddies taking off their shoes, being they're paying for the plane.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's so he flies private. Oh, now Chris, what happened? Cynical Chris Cody back there.
This guy's living the life.
I don't really have a connection point for what he's saying. I've never.
He doesn't have a connection point with what you're saying either at all. It's been so long since Bobby V flew coach commercially.
I mean, Bobby, I got to tell you, we're all paying for the plane. You take your shoes off, I'm going to punch you in the face. I mean, that's the deal.
I got you, bro.
Taking it up a little bit.
Bobby Valentine with us. I did not know this. I did not know that you knew Patrick Mahomes before he was Patrick Mahomes.
Wow, I knew Pat Mahomes, who was a spectacular pitcher on my team, and hitter and athlete and teammate and all that stuff. And young Patrick hung around for a while, shagged some balls in the outfield. I wish at that time I knew that he was going to be my favorite football player of all time. I probably would have gotten his autograph. But, young Patrick was a dapper little guy that graced our dugout in our outfield at times with his presence. And his dad was was a wonderful, wonderful person to wear the same uniform with.
Has Bobby Valentine ever seen a UFO?
See what?
A UFO.
I have never seen a UFO, yet I did 17 days through the Grand Canyon on a dory boat, slept out every night, and I saw some things that had to be UFOs, but everyone just told me they were communication satellites.
Tell me more about this trip. I want to hear. It's 14 days outdoors.
You really want to do it 17 days. You ride all the rapids. You camp out every night. You have the latrine that kind of passes around, and you get to place it in the place with the best view. So when anyone's sitting there contemplating how the day was, they see the glorious view of the canyon while they're doing it.
Has Bobby Valentine ever had an interaction with a ghost?
A goat hasn't been one of my things.
No. A ghost.
A ghost.
Not
ghost.
Jordan. A ghost. Yeah.
Oh, I thought we were getting into goats and animals. Okay, because there were a lot of mountain lions. Anyway, no, ghosts and I don't hang out in the same place.
How about goats, though? What's the story there?
No, I'm thinking of billy goats, and the big horned rams that are in the canyon.
What does love mean? This is a more complicated question here. What does love mean to Bobby Valentine?
Oh, I like when you guys get deep. You get deep. I guess love means you don't have to say you're sorry.
But you didn't go deep. You didn't go deep on us.
That's not my experience. Once again, we have zero connection points here.
Yeah. And the Astros love this story.
Love to me means always having to say I'm sorry.
Yeah, I said sorry this morning.
Bobby, thank you always for making time for our nonsense.
Hey,
sir.
Bobby V,
Have
man.
fun. Enjoy the nonsense. Enjoy the world. See ya.
Yeah, thanks.
Look, I don't dance now. I make money moves.
Did he like that?
He told us to enjoy the world.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
I thought I heard that he told us to enjoy some nuts as well. Did I not hear that? Did I hear him wrong? Enjoy the world and enjoy some nuts.
I didn't hear that really.
This guy is living, though, huh?
He is
Private
living.
jets, 17 days outside, Grand Canyon.
Chris, it's such a good question, though, because I feel like it happens every time with Bobby Valentine. When we get off the phone with him, we're like, did he enjoy that? He keeps coming on. Blink. If you're going away on a trip for the weekend, hopefully you've installed some security measures. They should be provided by Blink. Blink makes it easy. Tell them, Stugotz.
Yep, where do you need a Blink security camera? On your porch to help protect deliveries? Helping keep your family safe when you travel? Alerting you when the kids get home from school. That's important. Blink cameras are motion activated. When they detect something, they send an alert and a video clip to your Blink smartphone app, and the Blink XT2 features two-way talk. System start at just $79.99. So, where do you need Blink cameras? I have them everywhere, all over the house. Very affordable, easy to install. Check them out today. Visit blinkprotect.com/Dan. That's blinkprotect.com/Dan.
You are listening to the Magic City's Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Difference between an authentic organist playing the organ, a giant one that was shipped in or helicoptered in because it was hard to get up there because it didn't fit in any of the elevators, and somebody just pressing a DJ button of an organist playing some sort of half-assed walk-up song.
I think I could tell the difference. You know when someone's live and they're doing dun 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 dun. Yeah, I could tell.
On demand in the Dan Le Batard podcast, brought to you by the Capital One Saver Card. Earn 4% cash back on dining and entertainment, 2% at grocery stores, and 1% on all other purchases. Capital One, what's in your wallet? Dan, it's time for Straight Talk. It is brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless.
The straight talk is that Stugotz, not but a couple of days ago, said that Zion Williamson, he wasn't sure about him and that he was sloppy and that he had that white thing on his leg. And that was his criticism for why Zion Williamson, he wasn't sure that he was going to be any kind of great. And now Stugotz is saying, put Zion in the All-Star game. Stugotz is saying, and everybody would like that, I'm sure, right? Put it on the poll, Guillermo, at Le Batard Show. Put Zion in the All-Star game, yes or no?
He was 11 of 19 last night, 32 points, 6 rebounds. He did that in 31 minutes. And since I said the thing that I said, that was my intention. Clearly, he was listening. I gave him a little nudge, and he started to play like the Zion Williamson we've expected. But this is a game for the fans, Dan. It is a weekend for the fans. It's a wide-open game, up and down. And who would you rather see more than Zion Williamson playing an all-star game this weekend? I don't think there's anyone you'd rather see right now than Zion Williamson in an up-and-down game playing the all-star game. Put him in. There's an open spot. Paul George out. Put him in.
Is that what you guys want? Would the shipping container like to see this is a slow weekend in sports? The all-star game is the what?
This is a huge weekend in sports, one of the biggest ever.
Yep.
All-Star game, skills competition, XFL has 2 huge games, Daytona 500. Is there a bigger weekend in sports history than this weekend, Dan?
Yeah. You realize that the DC Defenders are hosting Kevin Gilbride's New York Guardians in what could potentially be a matchup preview of the Eastern Conference Finals.
Mm-hmm.
Crunch time in college hoops.
Anyway, Stugotz, one of the things that we do around here every year at around this time is we try to get very difficult reservations in very difficult restaurants. And this year, we've gone out to 2 in Chicago because the All-Star game is there, because Stugotz is flying out to Chicago after the show.
I'm low-key offended you slighted the XFL by saying there were just 2 great matchups.
No, 2 great matchups.
All the matchups are fantastic because even in the matchups that feature winless teams, the LA Wildcats versus the Dallas Renegades, we're getting arguably the 2 best quarterbacks in the XFL rejoining their teams. They missed week 1. Josh Johnson versus Landry Jones, 2 desperate teams. And don't forget, the Tampa Bay Vipers are going to Jim Zorn's Seattle Dragons. Now, I'm sure you've seen the news. Jim Zorn was completely unaware, shocked and appalled that the XFL was broadcasting live play calls. He had no idea this was a thing.
How?
Also, Aaron Murray, who is terrible, is out for the game.
Wow.
So, once again, Mark Trestman's Tampa Bay Vipers,
That's right.
led on defense by Jerry Glanville, are going with a 2-quarterback system, Quentin Flowers and some other guy.
I don't want to sully the good name of the XFL by saying there's 2 great games, because the other games, as Mike said, are fantastic. There's just kind of a difference between fantastic and great, Dan.
Right,
and
but
I think that's where we are here.
Let's be honest. 1 week in, every team is still in the mix. So these are all big games. They really are all big games. Yeah.
Stugotz, it kind of feels like the Dallas Renegade season is on the brink.
Wow.
Must win, huh?
There's only 10. There's only 10 weeks in this season. You can't afford to go down 0-2. Name the playoff teams that started the season in the XFL 0-2.
Good point, Mike.
Never an
So every year at this time, we do restaurant reservations, and Stugotz is unctuous and awful. And basically, okay, the only thing we're sitting around for the next hour and 40 minutes of doing this radio show is to get clearance on the sound for these 2 restaurants that Stugotz called. But one of them is being governed by a PR agency and has flatly declined our request, and I need to apply public pressure to both of these restaurants before 1 o'clock. We've got an hour and 40 minutes, and this was, when I walked in the room yesterday, I don't know what you guys were hearing, but everyone was laughing uproariously at how disgusting Stugotz was. Everyone was laughing about it, and so Stugotz has been desperate. He wouldn't shut up about it last night.
Yeah.
He has been desperate to make sure that this gets on the air because Stugotz does not like the times when he actually does work for it not to result in glory, fame, and money.
I mean, I put an extra hour, maybe 90 minutes in yesterday. The voice is strained a bit because I started yelling at people to get reservations, threatening. I mean, and I want these the air, man. They are funny, and they are great for the restaurant. I don't get the issue. I really don't. I mean, the whole point of this segment is for them to shine and for me to look like a complete fool. I mean, that's it.
All right, so what do I need to do, guys? Because seriously, I'm going to be very disappointed, and the audience is going to be very disappointed. The last time this made an appearance, it was some Miami restaurant, and that is David Grutman the guy who owns.
Yeah, we applied the most public pressure, and we got permission.
That's right. We went
from
straight to
man
the owner.
himself.
Right, but are we going to need to go to the owner of this restaurant by calling him out all over the radio, all over the country, so that it gets back to the owner of these restaurants that their PR agencies are being idiots, that they're being very short-sighted in terms. PR's job is to just say no because they're scared.
Right.
Like
Just give us what we want.
Yeah.
Like, you said no, and I don't find that fair because we put work in, and it's a good bit, and you said no, which is like, we don't hear that often. So please just do the right thing, which is make us happy because we don't like being unhappy because we did the work.
But
right,
Mike,
Dan?
at what point? Yes.
That's what this boils down to.
I'll say
Yeah,
yes.
it's
I
a
did.
temper- it's a temper tantrum.
But at what
That's right.
point do we
Just
give?
give it to us.
That's right.
When do we give Dan the name of the restaurant? That is what I
Very
wonder.
close to
Hold
giving
off
him
on
You're
that.
close. Okay,
Just
hold
very
on.
close.
All right.
No.
Just give me permission.
That's right.
Please.
Stop saying no to me. I
mean,
don't like ever hearing no.
Stugotz talks to these people for a half hour. It's a hard edit for these guys back here. They're working hard, late into the night, and we do all that work, and you don't get the segment
To bring the people
because these people
funny.
say no.
That's right.
So say yes.
That's right. That's exactly right. Now, how do I do that though and rap it in a way that doesn't sound obnoxious
do it.
and
Do
like
it.
a baby?
You do it, but
That
in your
train's
trademark
left the
whiny
station.
voice.
Yeah.
You realize you're doing the same thing now with the PR people that Stugotz does to get the reservations,
Just
right?
give it to us. Come on.
Just give it to us.
Come on.
That's essentially what the call is. We're just doing it live on the air.
Okay, but what I'm saying is I am segments away from shaming these two restaurants publicly. That's right.
I mean, we got 90 minutes remaining this week. I think I'm telling you, Mike, by 11:30, if I don't get the response that I want, I think we need to arm Dan with both names of the restaurants.
You know why?
Yeah.
Because I'm miffed.
I mean, restaurants, listen, I know you know who you are. 6 minutes. You are on the clock.
All right.
Okay.
Uh-oh. We got an on-the-clock situation.
That is Straight Talk. It is brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Everything for less, only at Walmart.
Pay that man his money.
Stick around after the show to give you free PR. You're in public relations. Take the free PR. In fact, go to your boss and say, hey,
you should be careful admitting to like that aspect of it.
I'm in charge of PR and I turned down PR.
Yeah.
All right.
You turn down public relations?
You turn down
Publicity is what they're doing.
Whatever. I mean, enough. I'm tired. I'm dealing with both of them. It's a headache. I'm doing it during the breaks. Enough of this. I'm miffed too.
Advance Auto Parts have the items you need. Put it on the poll, Guillermo, at Batard. Have you ever in your life said the phrase, I'm miffed? Advance Auto Parts, I don't feel like anyone says that.
Nobody?
I don't know. I feel like that's something only sports broadcasters say about others.
Oh, no.
I don't think anyone ever describes themselves as miffed.
I'm miffed to the highest level of miffitivity. Wow. Right now.
That's a high level.
If you're miffed about how it is your car is operating, take it to Advance Auto Parts. They will unmiff it. Tell them, Stugotz.
I love stats. I get goosebumps just thinking about QBRs and true shooting percentages. But one stat you need to know is your car battery's charge. Advance Auto Parts will test your battery for free, and if it's low, they'll install a new one for you with purchase. And you can save 20% when you buy online by entering the code DAN20. Then you can get back to poring over every stat from your favorite sport. Think ahead, think advance, only at Advance Auto Parts.
Drink all day, play all night. Let's get it popping on the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
I thought LeBron James, who's said as much, is chasing ghosts and chasing goats.
That's weird.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Right, yeah.
So why would someone who's doing that take a year off?
Why would you chase ghosts? I'd run from ghosts.
Right. Yep.
You'd run from everything.
I'd run from goats.
men's All-Stars over the last year in honor of the NBA All-Star game. I think we'd probably all agree that Mina Kimes has been an All-Star, has made herself an All-Star over the last year. You saw all over ESPN today her going out to wherever it is that Myles Garrett was to get the exclusive interview. She's doing a million different things as ESPN runs everybody into the ground, but she's doing all of them very well. So she'd get a vote.
I got a bunch on mine. SVP is a perennial all-star, 12 years in a row in my record book. Dan Orlovsky's had a hell of a year. I got
That's
him
true.
as an all-star.
Orlovsky has had a good year.
Rookie of the year, I think. Roy.
Yeah, definitely in the running.
Yeah.
McAfee is at a better year.
Lou Riddick.
Orlovsky.
Lewis Riddick, big year for him.
Okay, well, how many All-Stars, how many ESPN All-Stars
Big
are
year
we
for
doing?
Booger, too.
I actually have 12 written down. That's just my personal.
Booger would be a controversial All-Star pick.
Wow.
Booger got a lot of but he got a lot of criticism. Booger did.
Pat McAfee, Diana Rossini. I feel like are all-stars this year. Had big years for them. Stugotz, I actually think's an all-star. Started around the horn this past year.
Thank you.
Crushed it in Bristol the week we were up there. Covered when Dan was on his honeymoon. Big year for Stugotz.
I got a Rookie of the Year for Around the Horn. How about that?
Wow.
Roy. Yep, me and Emily Kaplan, co-Rookie of the Years.
Jeff Passan becoming the Woj of MLB.
That's pretty good.
Tom Jackson, comeback player of the year.
L. Duncan going from SportsCenter now doing Get Up. Kevin Nagandi is just solid. He's just like, he's not as perennial as SVP, but he's like 6 years in a row. Right.
And no Stephen A. Smith.
I mean, I just feel like I don't even need to say that. That's like
Like the
LeBron.
commissioner.
I mean,
Yeah,
Hall of Famer.
Did you feel like Will Kane had a bad year?
You know, Will Kane was an all-star a year ago. Like, you know, he's been in
So
the
he had a
game for a
bad
while
year.
now. Jason Fitz got his new show. Jason Fitz is an all-star, I'd say.
I don't think that's true.
Wow.
Fitzy's in Rising Stars.
Yeah.
Rising
He's a
Stars.
rising star.
Rising Stars. It's a totally different game. That is correct.
Really? He's a Swiss Army knife, man. You can plug him in anywhere.
Outside the lines.
5-tool player.
Radio.
Yeah.
Wherever you need him.
But Draymond Green's not always an all-star.
He should be.
No, he shouldn't
Underrated,
be.
actually.
No, he shouldn't
Underrated.
be. No, he
You can't
shouldn't.
argue with that. He should be.
What do you look at his this year? He should not
You
be.
can't argue with that.
Who are we talking about?
I can't argue with it that way. When your argument is just you can't argue with that.
Who's underrated? I'd say Randy Scott. Randy Scott.
No,
properly
overrated.
rated.
If
Really?
anything,
Really?
overrated,
Wow.
actually.
It's
Oh,
probably
yeah.
properly
Whoa.
rated.
Nicole
That's
Briscoe really
overrated.
carries
He's not
that
gonna have
sports
it.
center.
Pescatarian.
Yeah, Briscoe carries that sports center.
Totally overrated. I feel like you
Sorry.
put too many people in your All-Star game.
I mean, we need a full squad here. What is it going to be, like 3 people? I didn't even mention Laura Rutledge. Big spot on Get Up she's taken over.
And Tony Collins.
Is Mike Greenberg an All-Star?
I
He's
mean,
a co-leading vote getter with Stephen A.
yeah.
They get to draft the teams.
Wilbon and Kornheiser are getting some award this year. I don't know why I turned it into an award show. Just
What
an
is it?
all-star
What's
game.
the award, though?
You know, like lifetime thingy.
Like the Bob Lee Award?
Yeah.
Ah,
Bob
the
Lee Award.
Yes,
You want to hear?
yes,
You want to
yes,
hear? You want to hear a funny
yes.
story? This is a true story. This is a true story I'm about to tell right here. Bob Lee, accomplished journalist. Okay, as good a journalist as this company has ever had. We've talked before. No one resonates credibility at our place. We used to run whenever there was any kind of scandal or crisis, and we would break glass in case of emergency and bring out Bob Lee so he can be serious and represent all of us fools well. And Bob Lee would come out and he would do spectacular journalistic things authoritatively that would make him and everyone at ESPN look like pillars of professionalism, just exceptional at television. He retires this year quietly, or last year quietly retired from one of the most distinguished programs in the history of sports television, Outside the Lines. And just very few people have had his resume in the history of the company. And he was being celebrated for what Chris Cody so eloquently called a lifetime thingy. And he was being celebrated by the Disney company. And at the award show, as, you know, pomp and circumstance, and Bob Lee is this wonderful, just huge journalistic figure, they say, while announcing, ladies and gentlemen, for 40 years, or whatever the number is, 30 years of distinguished service, please say hello to Bob Lay.
Oh, man.
no.
No.
It's a Wade Jones
No.
scenario.
You got to spell that differently for the people that are just writing out the words there. Just put L-E-E because the L-E-Y can be confusing. I get it. I can relate to that.
I was just telling Mike and Stugotz last night because as I continue to get names wrong all the time, my father, my father, who's going to be on Highly Questionable today, he's going to be in here shortly. We can all hug him and enjoy his company.
I missed that, man.
My father was pointing at a television one time in my home, and he was pointing at, trying to find the name for Don Johnson, the actor Don Johnson. And my father's pointing at the television. He's like, I love this guy's show. I love this guy's show. And I'm like, which show, Poppy? Miami Vice? And he's like, no, not Miami Vice, the other one. And he's thinking the other one. And I'm like thinking to myself, what? Nash Bridges? And he was thinking of Nash Bridges. But what he said was, no, the other one, Vanilla Smith.
I nailed it.
Pay that man his money.
Bob Lay. Congratulations to Bob Lay. Vanilla Smith. That's right.
It'll happen, man. I'm telling
It
you.
will happen to all of you. It's already happening to me. You hear it happen to me?
What's Nash Bridges?
Oh, God.
It's a great question.
Did you guys know last night? We've got to get to the ad here in a second, but did you guys, because Billy and Chris, sometimes the holes in their knowledge are amazing. Like Chris never knew, for example, that Tim Hardaway said on this show that he hated gay people. That's not something that Chris knew. And last night, we're walking through the hallways, the bowels of that cavernous arena, and I'm curious, did you guys know the guy we stopped and talked to? Did you know who he was and the story we were telling you about him showing up at an event of ours in a bear costume? Did you know who you were talking to?
Yes, we interviewed him that morning. It's interesting that you bring up that story because Chris and I were kind of on the fringes and made an observation where you guys had a Randy Moeller story. It involved a bear. And no one knew the story because everyone else was like, hey, Mike, why don't you tell the story? Oh, no, Randy, why don't you tell the story? Oh, Dan, you tell the story. And no one seemed to have any of the details on the story, and everyone remembered there was a story, but didn't know the story.
The story is that Randy Moeller, or we think it's Randy Moeller, it's never been confirmed anywhere. We had some poker tournament somewhere where 1,000 people came, and at one point, the voice of the Florida Panthers, without, revealing himself, showed up in a full Bears costume, ran through the poker tournament, and left.
The Red Deer.
Advance Auto Parts, people. They have the parts you need so you could properly maintain your car. That means if any problem arises, Advance Auto Parts should be the first place you go. Did you guys know, though, that he's the guy who did the hockey goal calls for us? Okay, you did know that. Well, I never know with you guys.
Bill Walton, also an All-Star.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Football season is over. Sad. Now your Thursdays, Sundays, and Mondays are dreadfully open until August. Luckily, Advance Auto Parts has something productive you can do to fill the time. Getting your vehicle's battery tested. It's free, and if your battery is low, they'll install your new one for you. And they'll do that with your purchase. Plus, enter the code DAN20 when you buy online to save 20%. That's DAN20 to save 20%. The only shame is how fast you'll get in, out, and back to twiddling your thumbs until football starts up again. Think ahead. Think Advance. Only at Advance Auto Parts.
Estás en sintonía con el Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Can you play Bomani Jones, please, getting something stuck in his throat as he welcomes back people to his radio show?
Excuse me. Help me.
I don't know. Hold on a second. I just don't know what is the most amazing part of that sound. The excuse me, the burp, or the
Help me.
It's help me.
I think it's the burp. I think it's the burp.
Here, no.
Tune in this Sunday for the 69th NBA All-Star Game live from Chicago, presented by Bolt 24. Coverage begins at 7:30 p.m. Eastern on most ESPN radio stations.
I am told that we have received permission on one of the restaurant calls. Forgiveness, please, if the show has sounded a little sloppy. We are dealing with a lot of stuff off air, trying to get these restaurant reservations allowed, and it's just a labyrinth of public relations people bouncing into each other for one of the stupidest things you'll ever imagine in your life, which is Stugotz trying to get a reservation at an incredibly crowded, hard-to-get reservation restaurant in Chicago during All-Star weekend on Valentine's Day, and the waiting lists are very long in these restaurants. We have gotten confirmation from one of the restaurants. Let's salute that restaurant before we start shaming the other one. What is the name of the restaurant that has finally given us confirmation so that we can, in 10 minutes, play one of these unctuous phone calls that Stugotz makes to restaurants all over the world?
Spiaggia.
All right, so that's been approved. When do we start? We've got an hour and 10 minutes left before we get into our weekend. When do we start shaming publicly the other restaurant?
The lady from Spiaggia is such a big fan of what she just heard. She heard it, right? She loved it, that she's trying to get the other restaurant to approve the one that we sent them because she knows their PR person. I mean, I'm fine giving Dan the name right now. We are up against it right now. We are. I mean, we've got an hour and 10 minutes to go.
They have until 12:15 Eastern before I start bullying. They have until 12:15 Eastern because I want both of these calls for the audience before I make a spectacle and a scene that rains down holy hell in terms of temper tantrum that echoes from sea to shining sea. So we've gotten one confirmed, though. That's very good. Just never in your life have anything that deals with PR, people. Just never. Don't welcome it into your life. So how about this? Shocking news from TMZ, Mike Ryan. Delta's CEO says you should ask permission to recline in your seat on an airplane. Delta's CEO is saying that if you ask permission and the person behind you, he's telling TMZ, says no, you should not recline your seat so that they can make more money, squeezing you guys in like sardines and telling you what to do and give you even less freedom than you already have because they can't evolve the way that we fly.
Well, it's settled. Glad we fixed that issue.
Thank you. Thanks, Delta.
Thank you, Delta CEO.
That's such a bad spot for the person. Are you ever going to say no to someone? Like, no, you can't, like, recline your seat and relax. No, you're going to be pressured into saying yes.
I'd be inclined to let them recline if they asked for permission.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's going to happen either way, but I'd appreciate the gesture. Made me feel better about it.
And what if you say no and they do it anyway?
Well, then it's on.
Well, now
then I start punching
it is
their
on.
seat.
The problem.
Then it is on.
Because I'm doing it anyway. I'm just so you know. I mean, I'm reclining. I don't care. I do it before takeoff. I do it right until I land. I don't care if they tell me to put the seat back in the proper position. You are stuffing me in like a sardine. I'm going to recline that seat.
I guess you just like confrontation then.
But you're not even, like, don't take this the wrong way. You're not even, like, that big of a person. Why do you need to recline?
Yeah.
What do you mean? I mean, there's no room on most of these planes. There's just not a lot of leg room. I want leg room. I want to recline. I want to move back a little bit. What's the problem? If everyone reclines, we're all reclined. I mean, that's it.
Well, it's the back row is the problem. See that, and this is another airline problem. The thing that went viral this week was someone who was in the back row with a seat that doesn't recline. And let's ask Delta CEO about that, because feel free to make a plane where all the seats recline. But the very back seat doesn't recline, and because it didn't recline, the old woman in front of this man reclined her seat, and that guy spent the flight punching the back of her chair to show her that was rude, and that's what's going to happen if you're inclined to recline and the person behind you decline.
While we're here, why does my tray table need to be up during takeoff?
Yeah.
Like, what's going on here?
Right.
Also, Wi-Fi. I mean, airplane mode. I don't use that either.
Never.
All these are myths.
Right. All right.
Oh, that's got to be in case the plane runs off the runway. You're going to
Well,
end up
if
going
that
forward.
happens, we're having bigger issues than my tray table being down, all right?
Good point. Yep. And just having it, not in airplane mode, really throw the plane off. We're gonna end up some deserted island somewhere.
Do you guys do what I do? Like when you're landing, you're in airplane mode. I'm actually lying. I do airplane mode for most of the flight. But when you're about to land and I see the ground and we're 20 feet away from it, I take off airplane mode.
What?
Yep.
That's
A little
the
early.
most important time.
A little early.
That's
a little early.
unbelievable.
I need to get
No.
those texts. I got to
You'd
text
be-
someone that I just
That's
landed.
You'd be
most
surprised.
important
You'd be
time.
surprised how far in advance of you landing that you can
Yeah.
actually get
Oh,
signal.
Billy, it's
I
the
love
most
that.
important
I would
time.
fake
Yeah.
game.
You
I
with
do
my
it-
carry-on.
I do it every time, and nothing's ever
I'm in the
happened. So it's not
Everglades.
that important of a time.
When I'm landing in MIA, I'm at the Everglades when I
Oh,
turn
yeah.
it on and I
No.
get
Yeah.
Yeah, you get service. Yeah.
No,
It's actually
that's
a-
when you need to communicate with the tower.
It's a fun, dangerous
Tower.
feeling. It's like, ooh.
Jerk. That's what
me.
you
trying
are.
to tell me I can't turn
Yeah,
on my cell phone.
airplane mode,
Done it
please.
a million times.
No,
I'm still
that's
here.
dangerous.
Derek Jones Jr.
That's why you got to pay for Wi-Fi. Man.
Billy, I just love that your fear is so large that you become an expert at satellite communications just to be afraid.
Cultiva una rosa blanca on the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
Not mentioning how ridiculous Mike's mustache looks, and it is on full peacock display when he laughs because he's wearing like
I think it looks good.
when he laughs. I mean, it looks as good as that can look on anybody, but it doesn't look good in any way that's reasonable.
I've heard people say that too much of anything is not good for you, baby.
Restaurant reservation coming up in like 90 seconds.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. All guests on the Dan Le Batard Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Here's your SportsCenter update. The Washington professional football team is planning to release Josh Norman.
Making Moves is brought to you by LinkedIn. Build your winning team today. Go to linkedin.com/sports.
I didn't know he was a defender.
Major League Baseball celebrated the 100th anniversary of the founding of the Negro National League by joining with the Players Association to announce their second joint $1 million donation to the Negro League's Baseball Museum. And finally, if 75% of your liver were removed, it could regenerate back to its full size in a matter of months. Crazy. SportsCenter brought to you by Advance Auto Parts. Think ahead, think advance. At any time, 1 in 4 batteries is about to fail. Get a free battery test and free installation with any automotive battery purchase only at Advance Auto Parts. For all the latest headlines and information, tune to SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
I do not think there is anything that we do around here that when you're listening to it makes you feel more unclean than what we're about to play for you. It's got like a film on it. It's dirty. It's unctuous. You can't turn away. It's deeply uncomfortable. But our thanks to Spiaggia in Chicago during a very busy time. They took Stugotz's phone call. It is the NBA All-Star Weekend. It is Valentine's Day. This is one of the most popular restaurants in Chicago. And Stugotz does what he does best, which is be unctuous.
Spiaggia Cafe Spiaggia. Sarah speaking. How may I assist you?
Hey, Sarah, how you doing?
Well, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. Very nice of you.
How can I assist?
Listen, I am in quite the bind here, and I am
You
hoping,
need a
Sarah.
reservation for tomorrow?
Yeah, listen, I got engaged there, and I was supposed to take care of this months ago, and I know it's NBA All-Star Weekend. I know there's a ton of people coming in.
What's your name, sir?
My name is Stugotz, Stugotz. Perhaps you've heard of me. I work for ESPN. I don't know, maybe.
Okay. Well, nice to meet you, Mr. Gotz.
Yes.
I literally just got off the phone with somebody who canceled.
Are you
And
kidding
that
me?
is rare. So
Really?
what we're gonna do?
In the main dining room?
Oh,
are-
6:15.
6:15. I mean, a little early, to be honest with you. It's like an 8:15 prime time, baby.
I'm so sorry. We are so full. Because
Wait,
we do have-
yeah, well, hold on. Listen to me. We are getting close, okay? There might be a negotiation here. Listen, ESPN, national radio show, national TV show, and perhaps you should speak to the owners there. Tell them I got engaged. I will promote you guys for the rest of time on social media, on the TV show, on the radio show, if you can bump the 6:15 to 7:15. How about that? I'll meet you halfway.
Okay.
How about that?
Okay, let me.
And I got a little. Listen, I'm bringing the three-headed monster. I am bringing Bill Cartwright, Luke Longley, and Bill Wennington. I mean,
So a party of 4.
yeah. Well, really, a party plus our wives, plus one. Yeah, 8.
So a party of 5.
What did you have? Well, a party of 8. But what did you have at 6:15? How big was the
I
party?
only had for a party of 2. See, I don't know if we can accommodate 8.
Right.
However,
Okay.
I'm going to put you on a brief hold, okay?
Listen, I can tell Luke Longley to get lost.
Okay, just let me see what we can do.
A lot going on.
I'm looking at all of these reservations right now, and I'm just going to put you on a brief hold, okay?
Oh my God, I feel budding friendship coming here. Okay.
Of course, bye-bye. Not bye-bye.
Yeah, no,
Brief hold.
never bye-bye. Okay, good. Spagios.
Thank you for holding. This is Tara.
Hey, Sarah, this is Stugotz, ESPN. You were trying to get me the reservation, right?
Oh, no, that was Sarah. I'm sorry. My name is Tara. I'm the general manager.
Okay. How you doing, Tara? Yeah, listen, there's no way Wilbon waits this long on hold. I mean, that doesn't happen. That is crazy. I'm teasing you. I don't care. But I'm waiting for Sarah, you know?
No, Sarah grabbed me because she mentioned, just because we are fully booked for tomorrow night, so
Right.
I wanted to talk to you to see if there was anything that I can do.
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly something you could do. A reservation for 8 at 7:15 would be delightful. You'll save my marriage. Now, listen, I know there's a 6:15 for 2 that just opened up. I think we give that to the Thibodeaus, okay? Because they like to eat early. You know Tom, right?
Sure.
Right. So listen, while you're looking, I just want to tell you, okay? So I have the 3-headed monsters. I have the Longleys, the Cartwrights, and the Wenningtons. I'm okay doing away with Luke Longley. And if you tell me it's just a table for 2, then I'll have to decide. Forget about my wife. I'll decide between Bill Cartwright and Bill Wennington. And that's going to be tough. And then I'm going to have to break Ron Karkovice's heart. I don't know what to do here. This is tough. I mean.
Yeah. No, definitely. I mean, it's so tough because it's the day before Valentine's Day.
I know, and the Ricketts want to join me, the Epsteins. I mean, usually Ozzie Guillen likes to come in. He walks around the place. He might a few people off, but he hands out roses and the prize. A very nice thing that I do. Listen, I bring a lot of star power. This is a big deal every year for me, Valentine's, you know?
No, absolutely. I totally understand. For a party of 8, it does make things a little bit more difficult because I don't have that much flexibility when I'm doing 2 to 3 full turns in the dining room.
Right.
So I'm honestly the best I can do for a party of 8 is do a 5:30 for a party of 8.
5:30, party of 8. How about we look at the guest list, you and I together? I mean, you're looking. I'm not physically there. I'll be there. I'm flying in tonight. But maybe you take someone from the 7:30 category, that range, who doesn't quite have the promotional platforms that I have. You bump them down to 5:30. Boom. You put me, Luke Longley, and Ron Karkovice, 7:30 prime time.
I know that sounds amazing, but unfortunately,
listen, I'm bringing Willie Galt. I'm bringing Willie Galt. Willie Galt.
You could bring anybody you wanted, but I unfortunately can't push any reservations that are.
What if I brought Barack Obama? I mean, a friend of a friend, I will make a call. I'll see if the Obamas have Valentines. But if I bring him in, I got the table, right?
Oh, well, you do have a table at 5:30 if you want to make that.
Well, hold on, but Barry likes to eat later. And so here is what I'm saying. I have a 5:30 and a 6:15. Is the 6:15 still available, or have we given that to the Thibodeaus?
The 6:15
is still available.
What I can do right now is a 5:30 party of 8 altogether at one table.
What if I made it 4?
Hold on.
There are going to be a couple of C notes for you. In fact, I will kick my wife out if you'd like to join me for Valentine's Day.
Oh my gosh! No.
It'll be me, you, Longley, and Cartwright. How about that? And the Galts.
I can do a party of 4
at
7:30.
Okay, so it's me and my wife. So of this list, who would you most want to have dinner with? Okay, the Wilbons, the Epsteins, the Guillens, the Karkovices, the Bushlers, or Ozzie Guillen?
That's a tough one.
I'm
going to go dealer's choice. I'll go dealer's choice for you. Whomever you'd like.
I'm only asking you for the purpose of the reservation. That's all. That's the only reason I was asking you. So let's put it under my name, Stugotz, Stugotz, and the Cartwrights.
Okay, 1 second here.
Bill's going to be so happy. And a little room for Bill. He's 7 feet tall, okay? Bill?
Right.
You remember Bill, right? Back in the Jordan days? Yeah, of course.
Absolutely.
Right.
Stugotz, what is your phone number?
It is
Okay.
Gotz, Gotz.
So 4, 6.
I've never looked at the
9.
numbers or anything. I just tell people. Yeah,
4.
Gots. Yeah, I don't know. Is that what it
Okay.
is?
I think so.
Awesome.
All right, just need one more thing from you, Stugotz.
Yes.
To hold this reservation,
What do you need?
I do need a deposit.
Okay, let me get that from Dan. Hold on a second. All right, what kind of deposit are we talking about, right?
It's a $30 per person deposit, so it's $120.
I mean, Cartwright made $100 million in his career. I got to lay out 30 for him. It's unbelievable. Hold on. Let me see if Le Batard's around. He's my co-host. I usually use his credit card for things like this. All right, okay. Give me 1 second. Text Bill Cartwright. I don't have any plastic on me. All I have is cash. I just carry cash. I'm old school. Hold on. I'm getting it for you. I promise.
Thank you.
All right, Tara. So here is the credit card number. It is 1234. We're good. We'll see you tomorrow night. Okay.
All right.
All right. Good. 1, 2, 3, 4. Expiration date is 5/6. Okay.
No.
See you, Sarah.
What happened, Billy? What are you disgusted by it? You're just making cynical Billy faces the whole
How does
time.
this always work for you?
I don't know.
He always has he ever not gotten the reservation?
I don't know. Have we ever done one where I did not get the
You
reservation?
tried to get Hamilton tickets one time.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. By the way, I do this in real life. I mean, this is how I make restaurant
Right, that's how we
reservations.
discovered it. Yes, this is not the volume turned up on Stugotz. This is just Stugotz. It's the only thing fraudulent there was the telephone number he gave out and the credit card number.
Wow, that was a bad segment.
The key is they got to throw them off with different times. Make sure the 6:15 is still for the Thibodeaus, 5:45. You just throw them off, and eventually you get your 7:15. Boom. I'm telling you, just confuse them.
There was a point where he didn't say any words. He was just making noise to keep making noise and keep things moving along.
Well, hold on, but but
It is. He tries to disorient them with, yes, this is as disgusting as you think it is, and here are a bunch of sounds in your face that are no language you can recognize.
well, hold on, but
Goodbye. No, not goodbye. Never goodbye.
It's never goodbye. Raycon, if you're looking for earbuds but not looking to spend a lot of money, look to Raycon.
See you, Sarah, at the end after calling her Tara the entire conversation.
Oh, man.
Tell them about it, Stugotz.
You already know Raycon earbuds start at about half the price of other premium wireless earbuds on the market, and they sound just as amazing. And Raycon's latest model, the E25s, their best ones yet. E25s, they offer you 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, more bass, and a more compact design for a comfortable, noise-isolating fit. Raycon earbuds are stylish and discreet with no dangling wires or stems. Raycon was co-founded by Ray J, and celebrities like Snoop Dogg and J.R. Smith are obsessed with Raycon. So am I. I love them. You can get 15% off your order at buyraycon.com/Dan. Do it today. 15% off at buyraycon.com/Dan.
Party in the city where the heat is on with the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
If you missed any of the show, you can listen to all 3 hours of the Dan Le Batard Show, plus our Miami-only hour and our Best of Podcast on demand in the ESPN app, and subscribe to the Le Batard and Friends Podcast Network featuring South Beach Sessions, Stupidity, and Mystery Crate. Please rate and subscribe. New episodes are posted every week wherever you get your podcast.
What can you tell people about Mystery Crate this week, Mike? What can you tell people just dropped here as the shipping container put together a podcast that is the most in the Le Batard and Friends network that feels like our radio show every day?
Dan, we've been building up for a few weeks for the Super Bowl get of gets. Yeah. Billy and Allison sat down with Purple.
Wow.
Yes. Miami nightlife legend.
So awesome.
Wow. Purple. Yeah. And he's got stories to tell. There is a special guest that FaceTimes in on this interview.
Yeah, big guest.
It's a huge guest. Yeah. And another installment of Bachelor with the Boys, where Michael Jr., Chris Cody, and Anthony.
Yeah, we didn't interview a color, but it's pretty good.
Yeah, Talk Bachelor.
Mike Golick Jr. had a bat in his living room recently.
Dude, did you see this video on his Instagram story? He was forced to evacuate his living room and watch on in horror as a bat was just flying around in his home.
Put it on the poll, Guillermo. Would you
Crazy.
be horrified by a bat flying around in your home?
A bat? Is this something that happens in Connecticut? Bats are just there? I would leave the home forever. He's not even 100% sure that the bat left his home.
The only person who wouldn't be horrified is Manu Ginobili. Seriously. You're not afraid
or
of bats.
Golick Sr.
Yeah.
Golick Sr. That's one of those situations where you absolutely call dad.
But Ginobili grabbed one with his hand, right, at the arena, like just out of thin
I
air.
think it hit it with his hand.
Smacked it and then picked it up.
Picked it up?
Yeah.
That guy.
One of life's great mysteries is how quickly the San Antonio mascot changed into the Batman costume.
Every time.
It's
Every single time.
They've just got one on standby.
Yeah.
If you're listening to our show in Chicago, or if you know the owner or anyone with power at a restaurant named Blackbird,
Well, there it is. We just came out and said it.
can you please get to the owner or the general manager
Chicago,
and
Illinois.
tell them that Blackbird's PR people are undermining
doing their jobs.
the restaurant by being not publicity savvy at all and not understanding, because they're afraid of humor, that Stugotz is the one who looks awful in this scenario. The restaurant never looks awful in this scenario.
What's the first thing a bat learns in school? The alphabet.
Out right now.
Wow.
2 minutes in the sin bin.
Ocean or sin bin? I mean.
You're proud of that?
Set himself up.
If anyone out there knows someone in power at Blackbird in Chicago, please tell them. We have 2 segments left. We do not have a lot of time left before the weekend, and this restaurant reservation, I am told, is better than even the last one.
I am proud of Bat.
Get out of here.
I get it. I got it that time.
I have a report from someone in Connecticut that says that's happened to them 3 times. Once they chased it out, and twice they called animal control.
So this is a problem in Connecticut?
Seems to be.
Blackbird is the name of the restaurant. If you know anyone who has any power at Blackbird.
Which animal is best at hitting a baseball? A bat.
Why are you still here?
That one was bad.
Really bad, man.
I don't like how his confidence is growing because his judgment
Well, you
isn't.
guys laughed at Jack Elevator, and since then it's been a charred hellscape.
Jack Elevator is great.
Blackbird is the name of the restaurant, and we need to shame them publicly. And this will escalate here. The temper tantrum is going to escalate here because we don't have much time left.
No,
You should do this while stomping your feet.
I mean, the last one we just played, people are praising the restaurant. The restaurant has reached out to me. They're thanking me for the free publicity. I mean, what is going on? We are offering free publicity All-Star Weekend, Valentine's Day. They look great. I look awful.
Speaking of looking awful, Mike Ryan, who's got a feud with the Philadelphia 76ers, thinks that Joel Embiid looks awful these days.
What a terrible look for Joel Embiid. And look, I like ticking off Sixers fans more than anybody. But Joel Embiid publicly flirting, not even leaving crumbs, publicly flirting with the Miami Heat is such a terrible look. Now, I understand in the age of player empowerment, this is what you have to do to force your way out. But why are you doing this after the deadline if you want it out so bad? What is going on here? And then the next day you do brotherly love and they all forgive you and whatever. This is Philadelphia. They're not really going to forget. You just poisoned the well over there, dude. You got 0 leverage.
He said publicly he's not happy, though, Mike. Like, he has said that he's not enjoying playing basketball.
Was this a recent thing? Why is he doing this after the deadline? We're just days away from the deadline. Like, it just passed. What is the motivation? What's the end game, Spence?
Look, I don't dance now. I make money moves.
They were so close to getting that process exactly right. Jason Tatum. How could they have made that mistake? Markelle Fultz for Jason Tatum. I mean, Dan, it would have been Tatum, Ben Simmons, and Embiid. They would have gotten it exactly right.
I mean, a lot of people thought Markelle Fultz was really good, Stugotz. Like, it was confusing, just like with Ben Simmons, right? Both of them were amazing talents in college that didn't do anything in the way of winning in college.
Right.
And that was the only question on either one of them. Like, how do you not, as a great number 1 overall seed, how do you not make the NIT when you're Ben Simmons because LSU is so terrible?
I have a second bat story from Connecticut where a bat got into a house and a cat was chasing it around. It's Mikey C.
Don't you find it funny that the 76ers are sort of absolved and we just discard these players as bust? Look at franchises like the Miami Heat, who take second-rounders and undrafted free agents and develop them into serviceable players. The Philadelphia 76ers are doing a terrible job of also developing their talent, right?
ZipRecruiter. If you're looking for new employees for your business, let ZipRecruiter do all the heavy lifting. Tell them, God.
Yep, hiring can be a challenge, as Quotable co-founder Gretchen Hebner discovered. Gretchen needed to hire a game artist for her education tech company, so she went to ZipRecruiter.com, posted her job, and found the right person in less than 2 weeks. How? ZipRecruiter's technology finds people with the right experience and invites them to apply to your job. It's no wonder 4 to 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, try ZipRecruiter for free at our web address, ZipRecruiter.com/Dan. That's ZipRecruiter.com/DAN.
Bienvenido a Miami on the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Insurance is planning to release Josh Norman. The Tampa Bay Vipers have ruled Aaron Murray out for Saturday's tilt versus the Seattle Dragons. That's big, right, Mike? Murray being out? You don't like Murray.
No, Murray's terrible.
Yeah.
Completed less than half of his passes. This means more Quentin Flowers and a backup quarterback by the last name of Cornelius that I've never heard of before.
All right.
But a must-win in Seattle for the Vipes, who are one of the league favorites entering.
And finally, Calvin Coolidge was a practical joker. He would call for his bodyguards and hide while they frantically searched for him. That wacky Calvin Coolidge. I guess back in the day, that was probably like a big-time, like, innovative practical joke, right?
I just love the idea. I don't know if you heard Conan O'Brien, who's really had a fascinating career turn, where he sort of examined introspectively his life and some of the creative choices that he's making, and just sort of explained how small we all are by saying, when's the last time anyone ever mentioned Calvin Coolidge? You know, he did some things, but then you die, you turn to dust, and everyone forgets.
SportsCenter brought to you by Advance Auto Parts. Think ahead, think advance. At any time, 1 to 4 batteries is about to fail. Get a free battery test and free installation with any automotive battery purchase only at Advance Auto Parts. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in to SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
Ariel Helwani, an ESPN All-Star, Chris Cody?
Yeah, I definitely the year before.
Wow, that was lukewarm.
I have to look at the stats and see if he gets it this year.
I would say on the rise.
Don't be afraid to say no.
I would say on the rise for
everyone's an all-star.
Ariel.
Sometimes Devin Booker gets shut out and is waiting for an injury, okay? And he's a good player. Ariel Helwani, doing more, becoming a higher profile now that he's with ESPN. You could say wait a year.
He has like 5 times the followers that this show does. I think he's arrived.
Yeah, but we're talking about how he did in the last year and whether he's an all-star.
Yeah, this is the biggest show of all time. Yeah.
Is followers the way that we're doing the measurements now? Help me out with that, because I'm, as you guys know, I'm social media old.
I don't know.
Okay, very good.
Bill was just throwing it in there,
All right.
part of the resume.
Excellent contribution.
Yeah, you have to, an all-star, you toss out the resume, and it's
Right.
like, hey, this guy has like 1 billion followers.
It's something to consider. When you're considering who's an all-star, who's not an all-star, you have to look at all the stats, and Twitter followers are certainly one of the stats that I think most people would look at. I think that's
Toss
fair.
all the stats
Yeah.
in a hat, and you stick your hand, and you see what you pull out.
Stats in a hat.
Stugotz, I saw a great play. Speaking of followers, there is this rapper named Young Miami.
Yep.
She has a ton of followers on social media,
Mhm.
and she asked that all of her followers on social media send her $5 via Cash App or Venmo for her birthday.
Huh.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I've always thought about
If she's only estimated to be worth like $1.5 million, right? So like if I read that if like just 10% of her followers did this, she would clear like $2 million.
Wow.
Can I give out my Venmo?
Well, Billy sounds like
No.
he wants to give out his.
Well,
I know
I've
you
always
can't.
wanted to do that. I've always thought, you know what? There's a lot of GoFundMes out there that are like sketchy at best, right? If I'm just upfront and honest and I just say on a GoFundMe, hey, I want to be a millionaire. Can you just give me $1? I feel like that could take off and I could get $1 million. But if I'm doing it like this, then I'm going to have to give it to like charity. So not that it was all for nothing, but it doesn't make me a millionaire.
Charity is
you know?
nothing, Billy, when it compares
it's
to
not,
being able to
but-
line your pocket.
Chris Cody 954.
Jeez.
Don't do that. That's something you should never do. Don't do that. So,
Getting too confident.
Mike, real quick, he is getting too confident. And what I'm saying is his judgment is not reaching his level of confidence or competence. And we need to be careful with everything that's happening over there because he gets a little taste of fame and all of a sudden he's totally out of control.
Maybe I've gone bat bleep crazy.
All right, leave again.
Oh,
Leave
yeah, you gotta
again.
go.
Get out
You
of
gotta
here.
go. You gotta
Don't
go.
be afraid to make it forever. I mean,
At Lebitard
Die.
Show on Twitter. Mike, am I going to have to rearrange the show to give Blackbird 10 more minutes to stop being stupid? Am I going to have to put the club here so that we can have the time to possibly in the next 10 minutes shame Blackbird enough to get this for our audience? Because our audience, you don't want the Stugotz Army displeased at you, Blackbird. Like, it's horrible to have the Stugotz Army displeased.
I would keep the club right where it is because they have informed me after several different people trying, they have informed me that they have not received approval to air. I do have the CEO's email address. I am going to send it to him. I am.
I'm going to hold my breath until they clear it.
All right,
Ready?
send it right now. Send it right now, Stugotz.
I mean,
Send the CEO. I don't know what we're gonna do. Maybe we run.
Blood is on your hands.
Maybe we run a portion of it. Before though, we get to.
That's not how that works. You can't do that. You can't. That's not at all.
I'm just
how that
saying
works.
in time, in terms of time. Maybe I know that's not.
No.
I know we can't run a portion of it without approval. What I'm saying is maybe we can get some approval in the next 10 minutes, even though we're up against the end of the show,
All right.
and we can air part of the conversation.
Just take the L.
I just sent it to the CEO. So
All right.
I mean, I have the email address. I sent it to him.
Sure, he has nothing going on, or she.
So let the good one.
Good
there.
work.
Good one,
work,
Billy. Nice
buddy.
work there.
Buddy.
Excellent work.
Kick,
You are-
save, and abuse.
At least someone's paid attention to compliance.
Real quick here, though, before we get to possibly the restaurant reservation, and if not, just the opening of the club in the next segment. Myles Garrett gave an exclusive interview to ESPN All-Star Mina Kimes, and in it, he reiterates that he heard the N-word. Now, Mason Rudolph denies saying this. None of the audio or mic'd up players on the field heard it. Nobody else corroborates this particular claim. What I believe is that Myles Garrett heard it. What I also believe is that he may have misheard it. And that's part of what's happening here, because that would be a really stupid thing for Mason Rudolph to do, even emotionally. I know that rage doesn't work logically sometimes, but even emotionally, that would be a remarkably stupid thing for him to do. And yet I believe, because the reaction of Myles Garrett was so outsized and by all accounts totally out of character, I actually believe that he believes that's what he heard. It doesn't mean that's what he heard.
It is odd because so many people will tell you that Myles Garrett, not only is his character, is he a person of high character, but he would not lie about saying he heard something because he knows he's putting Mason Rudolph in a terrible spot by doing so.
What seems clear, though, Stugotz, is that he never intended for that to become public.
Right.
He never intended to want that out with the poison that it causes and the divisions that it causes. He never wanted that out in public. It was something he was doing to save his career or his reputation in the privacy of his employer's office by way of defending himself against what was a national shame.
He also said in that interview with Mina that the quarterback's helmets they have mics in them, but Mason somehow lost his helmet. They replaced the helmet with a helmet that had no mic, so it didn't pick up the sound, but neither did the other microphone helmets. Like no one heard it.
No one heard it. No one has put their name on hearing it except Myles Garrett.
Right. I mean, it's a tricky spot. It really is.
I believe that
it's a classic he said. I mean,
I believe that it's the way that miscommunications can happen. They just usually don't result in swung helmets and then all of us worrying about the future of America's children.
Look, I don't dance now. I make money moves.
ESPN taking every advantage it can, by the way, that exclusive with Mina Kimes to continue airing that video that is ruining all of America's children because we feed on that stuff.
Well, I forgot what he did, so I needed the visual.
No, I know. That's the only reason they did it. Helpful journalistic context, not because everyone loves seeing that video. They must have been so happy. There must have been so much joy when Mina Kimes landed that interview because somebody somewhere was like, yeah, we got to keep airing the video. And again, remember, you got to worry about America's children. ZipRecruiter will provide business owners the right candidates for hire. So if you own your own company, let ZipRecruiter find your next employee. Do you think Norby's shirtless on his desk swinging a jacket over his head? Happy because he can keep airing the video? Tell the people about ZipRecruiter, Stugotz.
Hiring is challenging, but there's one place you can go where hiring is simple, fast, and smart, and growing businesses connect to qualified candidates. Quotable co-founder Gretchen Hebner experienced how challenging hiring can be after unsuccessfully searching for a new game artist to grow with her education tech company. But then she switched to ZipRecruiter and saw an immediate difference. And you can too by signing up for free at ZipRecruiter.com/Dan. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. And by using ZipRecruiter screening questions to filter candidates, Gretchen found it easier to focus on the best ones than find the right one. In fact, after posting her job on ZipRecruiter, Gretchen said she was honestly surprised she found qualified applicants so quickly and hired a new game artist in less than 2 weeks. Less than 2 weeks. It's pretty quick. With results like that, it's no wonder 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. See why ZipRecruiter is effective for businesses of all sizes. Try ZipRecruiter for free at our web address, ZipRecruiter.com/Dan. That's ZipRecruiter.com/DAN.
305 till I die on the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
On ESPN Daily, the Miami Heat's Bam Adebayo is an NBA All-Star, but he's still seen as an unlikely success. Hear the story behind Bam's intense focus and how far it can take him. That's ESPN's Daily with Mina Kimes, presented by ADT. Download, subscribe, and review ESPN Daily, available wherever you enjoy your podcast.
That's a Zach Lowe story that covers that, and it was very strong. It was very good. Stugotz, you're on a national television show with a great deal of pizza on the side of your face. There's a pizza stain on the side of your face.
Clooney has the same thing.
At Lebitard Show. What are you laughing about, Mike? What's no? Keep it moving. At Lebitard Show is how you vote on the polls. Also, you can open up the club in just a second here, Stugotz. But first, let's quickly do some polls.
Is Stugotz, hello, always a loud, aggressive sports take? It is. 97% of the audience said yes.
That's close to a record. 98's a record. Yeah, which was tied fairly recently by does Peyton Manning always have that red mark on his forehead?
Have you ever had an alcoholic drink out of a dress shoe? 88% of the audience says no.
All right, the 12%. Get after it. It's a long holiday weekend.
Is an open bar worthy of dancing? Yeah, it is. 85% of the audience said yeah. Just give me my MFing highlights. 83% of the audience said yep. Should Dan do the sumo wrestling thing with a shipping container in costume or just as himself? 65% of the audience said himself.
We're off on Monday for President's Day. The next time you're going to hear us will be a Greg Cody Tuesday. How do you think he's going to sound after a week-long disco cruise?
Wow. Wow. Would you think that lying flat on your back would be the best way to survive in a falling elevator? 74% of the audience said no. Will it bring you joy every time you see the video of John Chaney looking to attack a very fresh-faced John Calipari? 92% of the audience said yes. Scrolling up here, Panthers game, big fat white face. That is Chris, big fat white face, sumo wrestlers. Can you respect any company that allows itself to be governed by PR? 92% of the audience said no.
That's on you, Blackbird.
Should Zion be put in the All-Star game? 61% of the audience said yes. Have you ever in your life said, I'm miffed? 77% of the audience said no. Would you be horrified if a bat was flying around in your living room?
Who wouldn't be?
18.5% of the audience said no.
Let's open up the club, send everybody into the weekend with an assortment of sounds from the work week and beyond. Get in there. What's the first sound we're letting into the club to start happy hour on a Friday? I was curious how you received all this stuff with the Astros.
You know, I look at it and say, come on now.
Wasn't a great start to the interview with Bobby Valentine on Valentine's Day. He didn't come out of the box like a rodeo bull.
Come on now.
That's what he said. That was the reaction everyone had.
Come on now. I look at it and say, come on now.
Really brought it after that, though. He did.
He did do better after that, but it was not a roaring start. Who else we got there?
Of course, bye-bye. Not bye-bye.
Yeah, no, never bye-bye. Okay.
Who else in the club?
The Wilbons, the Epsteins, the Guillans, the Karkovices, or Ozzie Guillen. I don't know what happened there.
Yeah, I mean, Stugotz happened. What do you mean you don't know what happened there? The Guillans or just Ozzie Guillen? Who else?
The Wilbons, the Epsteins, the Guillans, the Karkovices, or Ozzie Guillen.
It's so great. He just doesn't remember things he said 2 words ago.
Ozzie Guillen. You just keep talking, Dan, when you're trying to nail that reservation. You just keep talking, man. Or Ozzie Guillen.
Who else in the club?
Whenever the wide receivers drop balls, you need a punter to save you with a perfect. What is he doing?
What?
ESPN All-Star Pat McAfee. Who else in the club?
Vipers.
That's Bill Walton making a viper sound.
The Battle Hawks.
That is Bill Walton making a Battle Hawk sound.
Defenders, yes. The Trojans providing the protection against whatever's going to come your way.
Another condom joke from Bill Walton, recklessly doing this on Disney Airwaves.
Dragons. What sport is that?
That's football, the XFL.
He needs to be doing more.
So good. Yes, more. Who else in the club? Yeah, more. The Dragons. Who else in the club?
Didn't work.
Oh, Our friend Sonny Jurgensen ending the party.
It didn't work.
There it is. The happy hour's over.
It didn't work.
Okay. You don't need to be that aggressive, Sonny.
Enjoy the world.
Thank you, Bobby Valentine, with a Valentine's Day message.
Thank you for listening to the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
Jim Zorn.